bit of a fire going here. I just got home from work and I haven't touched the AMX in a few days. I know I said we weren't going to make any videos on it probably for a little while, but I was able to put in an order for a few parts that were cheap that I could afford to get. And surprisingly, one of them showed up today. And you guys can look at the shipping address because that actually goes to my job. You guys can send them whatever you want. Whatever your little heart desires, you can send them. I don't care. Because it's not my house. Anyways, as you probably already can tell, I bought a very cheap, very generic set of LS headers. I couldn't afford to buy a set of long tube headers to contend with, unfortunately, this go around. Kind of wiped me out a little bit on what I can afford to get right this second. But these, if I can ever get them out, will be just fine for what we get. Now I know some of you guys said, well, use a turbo, that would take care of the long tube headers. Maybe, but not on this car. That's all I can say is maybe. Boy, these are tiny. I usually put 3-inch exhaust on all of this stuff, but it is what it is. So, these headers shipped to my door for 70 bucks. And that's fine with me because I have bought a bunch of cheap headers off of eBay and I've never really had problems with them. I've had a few where they've leaked a little bit and throw a little bit of that copper seal exhaust Permatex crap on there. You'll never have another leak again. So that's fine with me because since, let's see, September, October, yeah, so September, let me think about this, hang on. September, October. Yeah, that's correct. All right. September, since you guys love the Javelin video so much, I was able to make $190 off YouTube is what I got September. Unfortunately, everything petered back off. October, I got, I think $130. And then I'm not making anything this month. I didn't make $100. So I don't get anything this month. Maybe by December I'll get $100. But you know, that's just how it is. I've made something. So, you know, I made $300. A little over $300. We'll call it $350. I think, is that right? Yeah, something like that. Well, I guess like 300. I don't know. I'm not doing math, but anyways, that money basically is funding the headers. And I did get a cheap new intake that's going to solve the intake problems. And the fuel lines, this car has fuel lines for the LS fuel injection, but they weren't done very good when I first did them. They're the original line, so we're gonna redo them. So I got the intake, those headers, a roll of aluminum fuel line, and a kit that's got a bunch of cheap AN fittings like these here. I was able to get all that with the funds that I got from my YouTube videos the last couple of months. So yeah, I'm excited. That's great. I know the real YouTube people, $300 in 2 months is laughable, but you gotta remember, I've been doing this 6 years now, and I finally made $300. So that was very exciting, and it got us the parts we need for the AMX. I think with all my crappy exhaust parts and the junk I got laying around, I can build a exhaust system, or at least get one built for mufflers. I'll have to buy mufflers for it and probably a few odds and ends, but with the parts that I ordered and what we got, I think I got enough stuff to actually get it where it runs. Maybe not driving yet, but I think I can get it up and running to where we can start it and run it. So that's very exciting. Obviously, like I say, I can't drive it. I don't have brake parts, and I gotta switch out rear ends, and I need some more bushings and stuff, money. So, but anyways, we'll get back to the point of this video. So what do we get with our really cheap header set? We get these, a couple cheap collector gaskets, a handful of these, and some exhaust gaskets. Now here comes the moment of truth. Is this gonna fit without me having a fit? Probably not. Oops, whoops. Look at that. Would you look at that? That's gonna snork right through there perfectly. Now, interestingly enough, I ordered these for a truck. I usually get the car ones, and I've had problems with the car ones, for sure, on the passenger side, wanting to clear and work. Now, the driver's side is always a problem. Let's see if we leak any antifreeze. Nope. I'll just yoink that right there. Well, dang it. I don't think we're gonna be so lucky on this, but we never are. So probably what's gonna have to happen, I'm about to take the steering column loose. Take the steering column loose and shove that in there and mess around with it. I can tell you right now, the biggest problem I see is that second pipe sticks way out. These are different types of block huggers, but you can see on the Gremlin ones that second pipe definitely doesn't stick out at all. So, she's getting warm. There we go. I'll cool that down a little bit. So, yep, I can already see that I'm gonna have to do some work that I don't want to do, but I'm gonna have to, I think. If I can get the header thing, I don't think it's gonna matter. I'm probably gonna have to cut that and flip it around, or take it and stick it way over and put the drive shaft through it. or a steering shaft through it. I don't know yet, but that's going to be some interesting fun for sure. Okay, so what's probably going to happen here is I'm going to have to do a little bit of surgery on this. So it's not going to be a real pretty way of doing it, but it's better than beating it in with a hammer, which I may have to massage a little bit of these, but this one right here is in our way. So I'm probably going to have to heat it with the torch down there, and I'm going to have to slice it probably right in here somewhere. And I'm going to have to take a pry bar and heat it up, and I'm going to have to just bend him out, because he should bend around where he's not right on these bushings, but out that way. And then this is just going to have to go, you know, under it, through it, is what's going to have to happen, the whole steering column. So I think that's plausible, but that guy's going to have to come out. Geez, he's going to have to come out pretty far. Let's say he's going to have to come out that far to go around the steering column. And then we'll just have to throw a little header tape around the steering column or around this. I wish I was smart enough and had the manufacturing skills to make like a slip coupling header little pipe with some springs or something on it, where I could just take that piece of header off and on as I need it to do stuff. But that's going to be the most practical way that I can see to do that. So, and I'm pretty sure there's other headers out there that wrap around the steering columns or get really close to it. But yeah, you know, I don't think I've ever put one of these together yet where I didn't have to do a bunch of fabrication, especially on the driver's side. And then I don't know if we're out of the woods yet on the clearance on this. So may have to do some work to that too. I don't know. Because I don't think my steering column will actually fit in here until I cut this and bend it out of my way. But yeah, anyways, it's not the end of the world. In fact, I am pretty sure, and I do, what is that? I think that's a 454. I don't remember where I got this header from, but I've been holding on to it for, geez, ever. I'm pretty sure this is a 454 though. It's got cobwebs all over it. Surprised the mouse didn't jump out of it. Let's do a test. I could probably easily tell you no, but hang on. There's a 454. I can already tell you no. But, you know, for science, we were going to try it anyways. Kind of a similar bolt pattern. But the point of bringing this out is, I don't know. I might be able to sorry, I'm thinking. As you haven't figured out already, I'm not normal, so I don't think that's work. I was gonna say I might be able to cut that engine flange off and cut that flange off and make that header work, but even better This looks like it's a little bit bigger around than that header there. So I can cut that and use the piping off of that to extend out my header. So I think between this header and that header, I can build a header. So yeah, I guess it's good. I've been dragging that piece of junk around with me forever. But, and long tube headers would have been just as aggravating. And then the whole problem with they want to go straight down and run right into that. And then you'd have to get around the steering column. And as I remember, it was the passenger side that was even worse because the motor sits further this way. And this motor still has to go that way another inch. Oh yeah, I guess I need to remember that. I guess I got to get the motor tweaked over too before I get too carried away. But well, we're getting there slowly but surely. But yeah, I guess I got to remember the motor's got to come over about 1.5 inches still. So good thing I remembered that. So I guess that's probably going to change how much I'm going to mess with this header. Maybe I won't have to. That'd be nice. But I'm really going to doubt that. All right, guys. Well, sorry. It's just a quick, short little exhaust talk here on the AMX. But it doesn't matter if I go over on that side or not. That header is going to fit just fine. So, good. I guess the next step is I'll have to cut the floor. And again, you probably won't be able to see it. Right there where my finger is that servo, that little circle area, and it's hitting the side of the tunnel. That's got to go into the floor some, so that's what's holding us up. But I guess I'll figure that out here in a few. Well, the motor's pretty centered. You can see it's already sitting off to the side a little bit, but that's fine. All right, well, anyways, I guess until more parts show up, that's all I got for you for now. And I have another video coming out on the old Ford truck here. Hopefully in the next few days. It's just been too dark when I get home to want to bother with it right now. And everything I got to do to its outside work. So I guess until that happens, this is what I got for you. And thanks for watching. And we'll see you in the next video. Okay, well, it's the next day. I don't quite remember where I left off yesterday on this exhaust. But I think I was talking about taking this pipe and going around the steering column and all that fun stuff. But I got busy, and then I got busy again, and I just didn't have any more time to play outside. So but while I was kind of doing stuff yesterday, I was working on it, and the easiest thing I can do is pretty much what I've got kind of sitting here. Now you can see that pipe down there is sticking out that way quite a bit, but I think I can heat that up and squirt that right over, and then I'll have to put a coupler pipe around those two pieces and tack that on, and then I'm just gonna have to massage it just a little bit right there, and then I gotta massage that one just a little bit right there for this thing. And what I did is I actually heated that up and squashed that in a little bit to get this part to actually fit in there. But as you can tell, it's a tight fit still right there. So I could squash that side in a little bit so I don't have to dent this, but I don't really care. And it really depends on how far I can stick that pipe over down there. But yeah, if I can do that, I'll get that header bolted in there. And that'll be that header. This header already fits. I don't have to do anything fancy about that. Now I'm going to show you this horrible thing in the floor. If you're squirmish, look away. There's the notch you have to make in the floor for the transmission to come in, so the transmission will sit straight. Well, a 4L60E and a 700 R4 and I think a turbo 350, you have to do that. So anyways, I'm going to heat up on this thing, see if I can't get that kind of bent over, and maybe try to get this header done before I end this video. Okay guys, it's not the prettiest thing, but I just quickly got it thrown together. Just ignore that big blob right there. I couldn't quite reach around and weld that last little spot, so I just put a blob in there. But we got her in. We got clearance, even though it doesn't look like it, between the steering column and the header. I might massage on that just a touch more, but you know, we got a solid 1/8 inch between there. That one there, I may have to massage on just a tiny bit more, but not too bad. Now, obviously, I'm going to clean that up some more. And I don't really like the stainless look, even though I don't even know if these are really all that stainless or not. But, you know, I don't think they're real stainless, but they could be. I don't know. I doubt it. I'm not that smart when it comes to alloys, but anyways, I'm going to scuff them up and paint them flat black anyways, so you really won't notice too much on them. But I did weld that up completely. My little repair coupler and everything's in there complete. If you can see that nasty quick booger. I ran out of shielding gas in my welder and had to resort to some really crappy flux core wire feed, which I don't really like at all, but that's what I had. So the same thing on this side. I'll scuff it all up and fog it black. Of course, this side fit in with no problems. So, you know, I don't have hardly any money in these headers, so it doesn't really matter if I destroyed them or not. Obviously, if you're trying to do this for a performance thing, these aren't the right type of headers. I mean, they'll work, but you're definitely going to be losing some power. You really want long tube headers, but what we're doing with the old AMX, I don't think this really matters. And again, once I clean that up and kind of mimic the little ledge like the rest of them have and get it black, you know, unless you're really looking or you see this video and see this car in actual life, real life, you're probably never going to really notice because they'll be black. And I haven't decided fully, but I may put header wrap on what I can, but that always looks really tacky when you can't just wrap the pipes individually for a ways down. So probably won't, but that's a thought. So, oh, last thing, I probably already said this once again. This is the next day. I don't remember what I videotaped the day before. Don't forget, when you're building these, cutting these, prepping these, and getting these all set up, have your exhaust, your header gasket, whatever, in place while you're doing it, because that's a good 1/16, heavy 1/16, just under an 1/8 inch further out you're sticking. So if you're really super duper tight and everything and you got a pretty thick header gasket, you know, it may not fit right. So just that last thing to remember there. I obviously don't have this header tightened because it doesn't matter, it fits. But when other parts roll in, we'll make another video on it. But again, I just wanted to kind of make a quick exhaust video for you guys, and all that good stuff. But car's coming right along. Building the header is always a pain. I've never had a header just fit on this car, especially on the driver's side. So if you plan on doing this, you are going to probably have to fabricate on the driver's side no matter what. And luckily I had that old crappy header I was never going to use because I only had one of them. So I had a few extra little bits and pieces to cut and to make everything. So that helps having that too. But all right, it's late. I got to work tomorrow. I got to be up at 4 in the morning to get to the other side of town tomorrow. So I am calling this the end of the video, and I appreciate you watching. Tell your friends, and as always, we'll see you in the next video.